Ever wonder why that is? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really simple adventure to find the powerful, hidden structure that all great stories share. Let's dive right in.
So what is it really? What's the secret sauce that takes a bunch of events and turns them into this thrilling story that just grabs you and refuses to let go? In this explainer, we're going to find that blueprint, the very DNA of a story that works.
And the key to the whole thing is a term called dramatic structure. Now, I know that sounds a little academic, right? But honestly, it's just the skeleton that gives a story its shape. It's how you get from the setup through all the conflict to a really satisfying ending. We're going to see it in action, step by step. All right, so every single story has to start somewhere. Welcome to part 1, the setup. This is where we meet our heroes, get a feel for their world, and hear that very first whisper of the journey that's about to begin.
And this is it. This is the spark. Young Veer asks his dad, "Papa, there's a mysterious cave behind the mountain. Can we go there?" Now this seems like just a simple question, but in storytelling terms, this is everything. This is the call to adventure. It's the one moment that kicks the whole plot into gear.
Okay, so take a look at our cast of characters here. What's so cool is how perfectly they slot into these classic archetypes you see in stories all the time. You've got Ramu, the calm, responsible father. He's the protector. And then, of course, there's Veer, the curious kid who is, without a doubt, the hero of our story. And you can't forget Chintu, the magical parrot, who serves as the guide. Every good adventure needs a crew like this. Okay, so we've answered the call. Now the real journey begins. This is where things start to get interesting. Welcome to part 2, where the stakes get a little higher and you can feel that tension start to build. This is what we call the rising action. As they're on their way, Ramu says something that's, well, it's super important. Treasure isn't just about money, son. This is classic foreshadowing. The storyteller is dropping a little breadcrumb for us, hinting that maybe, just maybe, this whole quest isn't about what we think it is. It's pointing to a much deeper theme. But Veer, being a kid, brings us right back down to earth. He asks, "Papa, will there really be treasure there?" And this is so crucial for the story. You need that simple, tangible goal, the treasure, to keep the characters and the audience moving forward, even if we're starting to suspect the real prize is something else entirely.
And then our guide, Chintu, chimes in. "I'm feeling something strange." Ooh, see? That's the signal. The vibe is changing. They're literally crossing a threshold, leaving the normal world and entering a place that's a bit more magical and a lot more dangerous. And of course, the guide is the first one to sense it.
And boom! There it is, the first real test. A voice echoes from the cave. Who is it that wants to know my secret? Suddenly, this isn't just a fun little hike anymore, is it? It's a full-on confrontation. The story is challenging our heroes, basically asking them, are you worthy? All right, here we go. This is what it's all been building to. Part 3, the climax. All that rising tension funnels into this one single intense moment where the whole conflict is going to be decided. This is the ultimate test. And what's the test? It's a riddle. The voice asks, what is it that flies without wings and speaks without a mouth? I love this because the challenge isn't about being strong. It's about being smart. Everything is riding on them figuring this out. And just when it seems like they're stumped, who comes to the rescue? The guide, of course. Chintu, the parrot, excitedly squawks the answer, "Wind, wind!" That's the breakthrough, the light bulb moment that changes everything. So, the answer is wind. Simple, right? But here's the thing about great storytelling. Solving the puzzle doesn't mean the danger is over. In fact, it usually unleashes total chaos. The real climax is just getting started. The second they give the right answer, the whole cave just starts to shake like crazy. So yeah, they passed the test, but now they've got to survive the consequences. The magic of the place is unleashed and it's not friendly. And then rocks start crashing down from everywhere. See how that works? They won the brain game, but now they're thrown into a life or death race. They outsmarted the cave, and now they have to literally outrun it. It's a perfect example of raising the stakes. And this is where the protector, Ramu, kicks into high gear. He screams, "Run outside quickly!" His whole role just shifted from being cautious to pure, instinctual action. The stakes could not be higher. It's life or death now.
And what follows is just this mad scramble to get out. They barely make it, dust and rock crumbling right behind them, just as the entire entrance collapses. Phew, they made it. They survived. The absolute peak of the danger is over.
Okay, so what was the point of all that, right? They went through all that trouble and came out with nothing. Well, that brings us to the final and maybe most important part. Part 4, the listen. This is where the dust settles and we find out what the adventure was really all about.
So they're standing there, safe, but Vera's just dejected. We couldn't get the treasure. And that line is so perfect because it shows he's still focused on the wrong thing. From his point of view, the mission was a total failure.
But then his dad, the protector, comes in with the wisdom. The greatest treasure is the lesson, son. And there it is. That's the moral of the story. It was never about gold or jewels. It was about the experience, about being brave together, and about what they learned along the way.
And really, you can boil the whole thing down to this simple equation. Family plus courage equals the real treasure. That's it. That's the heart of the story, the message we were meant to find, right there.
So there you have it. That's the blueprint we just walked through. You need that clear call to adventure to get things started. Then you've got to keep building the tension and raising the stakes. It all has to lead to one